Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Chris Kunz with the Rich Casino Real Estate Group. On today's episode of Real Estate Simplified, I'm going to take you through homeowners associations and what you need to know as a buyer. So for those of you who don't know, a homeowners association or an HOA is a governing body that oversees a neighborhood or a community. Now that homeowners association is going to collect a certain amount of money, be it on a monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly, annually, whatever it ends up being. They're going to collect a certain amount of money and they're going to put that towards improvements or overseeing that neighborhood. So it could be anything from paying for insurance on the structure itself, to maintaining the landscaping, to providing a pool and a rec room and a gym for his residents. Sometimes all that stuff, which is awesome. It's really important to understand though, the more services that are offered within a homeowners association, the larger your monthly, bi-monthly, whatever it ends up being, the larger that payment is going to be. So it's really important as a buyer to make sure that you look at the services and amenities offered and make sure that that translates into value to you as a buyer. Because it's also important to take into account every $55 a month that you pay towards HOA dues translates into roughly $10,000 worth of purchasing power as a buyer. So if you're looking at properties outside of an HOA, your dollar is going to carry you a little bit further because you don't have those HOA dues to pay every month. It's also important to take into account sometimes the HOA dues offer insurance on the structure, and that's going to affect your monthly PITI amount, right? PITI is your monthly payment for your home. It stands for payment, interest, taxes, and insurance. So if you have that insurance part already covered, this PITI payment's going to be lower, the HOA payment's going to be higher, and so it's really important to figure out how those numbers massage and work together so that you're comfortable with the value that you're getting at the end of the day and you're comfortable with your monthly mortgage payment. So let's talk a little bit about the pros and cons of living in a homeowners association. So one thing that the homeowners association is going to do is they're going to protect the integrity of the neighborhood. So what does that mean? There are rules and regulations within the homeowners association that dictate things like what color you can paint your house. So you won't find someone that's painting their house a bright pink that's going to really drastically impact the aesthetic of the neighborhood, which ultimately will potentially affect the property values. So they're making sure that the aesthetic of the entire neighborhood is kept up. Not only that, they're making sure that if you're responsible for maintaining, say, the landscaping, that you're doing so in a timely manner where you're not letting the property overgrow where it becomes an eyesore for the community. In addition to that, not only from an aesthetic standpoint, they're also keeping the integrity of the neighborhood by keeping a certain level of ownership within the community. A higher level of ownership typically means that people are going to put more care and attention into the properties because ultimately at the end of the day, they're going to realize the value as property values grow in the neighborhood. So another pro about living within a homeowners association is the amenities that are afforded. So some homeowners associations offer things like pool, tennis courts, rec rooms, gyms, things like that. All things that you get access to as a homeowner within that HOA, but something that you're not necessarily going to have to maintain, right? You may be paying to maintain it. You're not going to actually have to sit through the repairs that take place on that, and you're not going to have to manage the project if there are any that pop up. Because not only is it maintenance on those recreational things that I mentioned, it can also be maintenance and repair on the structure itself or the roof. And so as a homeowner, you have less maintenance to take care of, especially if a homeowners association is taking care of all the landscaping. So you pay for those amenities, but you don't necessarily have to take care of them, which is a huge bonus for people that don't necessarily want to do that. Additionally, if there are any disputes within a homeowners association within the neighborhood, you're going to have that governing body to potentially oversee that dispute and help you come to a resolution on it. So all those things kind of help add value to a community and neighborhood that falls under the umbrella of a homeowners association. Now, what are the potential cons of living in a homeowners association? Well, as a buyer, when you're living in an HOA, you have less freedom. The rules and regulations within the HOA prevent you from doing certain things as a home buyer. If you own a single family home that has no HOA, no CC&Rs, and you want to paint that house bright pink, you have all the freedom in the world to do it. If you're living in an HOA though, there may be some potential restrictions with that, which some people don't like, so it's something to keep an eye out. The other thing about homeowners association dues is that they're for life. They don't expire like a mellow ruse tax or a special assessment. It's a payment that you're going to be paying until you decide to sell the property. So even if you've paid off the mortgage in its entirety, you're still gonna have that monthly payment to take care of in terms of the HOA dues. Typically, we don't see those HOA dues drop. And so it's always something to keep in mind to make sure, again, that you are understanding and recognizing the value of that HOA as a homeowner. So lastly, most important question, how do HOAs affect property values? This kind of ranges on a case-by-case basis. You really have to look at, again, the value that an HOA is providing to the community. If you have an $800 a month HOA due and you're not necessarily getting the things that you want in an HOA, like a pool or maybe a rec room or a gym or something like that, then maybe you don't go into that community. But if the HOA is going to offer something that's of vital importance to you, like insuring the structure and maintaining the roof and doing all the landscaping, and you don't need a pool or a rec room, then all the better. So the most important question, how are property values impacted by a homeowners association? If a homeowners association is providing enough value to its residents where they are not griping or they don't have qualms about the payment that they have to put towards HOA dues, typically we'll see property values increase in a neighborhood. If there are certain issues in terms of maybe litigation or how those funds are dispersed that people are having issues with, typically that reputation gets out about a certain community and the property values are more impacted, where they're not going to increase as much over time. So it's really a case-by-case basis, and you also kind of have to look at certain things that would impact the value of any traditional piece of real estate, right? Are you on a crazy busy street? Do you have direct access to freeways? Do you have restaurants and shops and bars and things like that that are in close vicinity to the property? All things that would impact a traditional property are going to impact a homeowners association as well. So if you have any questions about homeowners associations, how the dues impact value, certain areas or certain HOAs, whether or not they're a good fit for you, reach out to me, send me a message, give me a call, shoot me a DM, whatever's easiest. Otherwise, I appreciate you guys for tuning into this week's video. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and hopefully we'll see everybody soon. Stay safe out there.